Welcome to The Cross in the Classroom, Educating with Eternal Values, the podcast where faith and education come together. Join us every 2 weeks as we connect with the inspiring voices of Valor Christian High School, teachers, students, and leaders, sharing stories of growth, purpose, and the eternal values that guide our community. We're glad you're here.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Cross in the Classroom First Roundtable podcast. Joining me, I have three amazing Valor teachers. I'm Shandra Pankoski, and today we're going to be discussing something that is near and dear to our hearts, which is why we teach. Teaching at Valor is very unique. It's not just about the excellent lessons and the curriculum, but it's truly about our purpose, calling, and expanding Christ's kingdom, and hopefully sharing the gospel with our students in the process. So today, we have three phenomenal Valor teachers that are going to talk about what drew them into teaching, what sustains them when things get difficult, and the potential legacy that they hope to bestow on their students and also Valor. So let's go ahead and get started. I think we should start with introductions. So how about each of you guys introduce yourselves, tell how long you've been teaching, and the subjects that you've taught.
Great. I'm Debbie Skene, and I have been teaching for 28 years. 6 of them have been here at Valor. I teach math, and specifically right now, pre-calculus and honors geometry.
I'm Jeff Culver. This is my 14th year at Valor, 25th year teaching overall. I'm in the history department, and I teach this year AP Macro and Microeconomics and AP US History.
My name is Brent Glossinger, and I've been teaching here at Valor for 11 years, in total of 24 years, and teach in the Bible department and specifically Life and Teachings of Christ.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, you guys. All right, another tough question. Here it comes. If you were to describe your teaching style in just one word, what would that be?
I'll go first.
Yeah, go for
okay.
it.
So I think I would use the word conversational,
Okay.
which might seem odd for a math teacher, but I do just like to have conversations with the kids. I like to get feedback and talk back and forth, so I'm going to go with conversational.
Okay, great.
All right, I'm going to hyphenate a word and say nerdy humor. Yeah, I love my subjects, and so I try to pump them up to the students, and then I also try to just be kind of silly and stupid at the same time.
Do you have an example of that? On top of your head? Can you
I can't perform.
It's got to be in the rhythm of it.
Yeah.
Sorry. I would go with another hyphenated word too. I would say storytelling. Storyteller.
No, that's great. That's really great. So, Brent, I'll go ahead and start with you. What first drew you into teaching?
I would say it's always been in the back of my mind. I think when I was in school, I always thought about teaching, but it wasn't something that I initially jumped at, I guess you would say. It wasn't until about every 3 years I was changing jobs, and was at a job at selling pharmaceuticals, and was really miserable. And I remember having a conversation with my brother-in-law, and he said, "Man, if you could do anything that you want to do, what would you do?" And at that point, it kind of hit me. I was like, I think I would want to teach. And I'll never forget what he said. He said, why aren't you teaching? And I said, because of the money, honestly. And he said, bro, what kind of faith is that? And for whatever reason, I mean, I had known that before, but, or I'd thought about that challenge, but for whatever reason, that really stood out to me. And at that point, started talking about it with my wife, and we started praying about it, and we decided to go for it. And once I got into education, it's been 24 years. So it's like the finally found it, the calling, I'd say.
Well, that's great. Jeff, would you say that what got you into teaching was a calling, or was it something different, or how would you describe that?
I took a really circuitous route to get to where I'm at. I went to college wanting to be an orthopedic surgeon. I was an athlete, and I'd seen had a bunch of shoulder issues and knee issues, and so I thought it'd be cool to work with athletes. And so my idea was I was going to be an orthopedic surgeon for 6 months of the year, and then I would use that money and go overseas and do surgeries in countries that needed it for the other 6 months, so I wouldn't have to get my own sponsorship. And so then I became a teacher instead. I ended up changing my major into Bible, and I basically, when I was in grad school in philosophy, I got into philosophy. When I was in grad school in philosophy, I was substitute teaching in LA. And my wife got into a master's program, and I needed a job. And so I applied. California was desperate for teachers at the time. Anybody could become a teacher. And so I interviewed. I remember I interviewed elementary and middle school, and I remember they asked me a question in the elementary interview. They're like, you guys with the education backgrounds, you'd appreciate this. How would you teach writing across the curriculum? And I said, I go, honestly, I don't even know what that means. And then a middle school hired me. And so I got hired to teach math and science, and taught biology and chemistry and physics and earth science and astronomy, and then got hired at Valor to teach history. So it's, I never intended it, and it's been the joy of my life, really. So.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Debbie, how about you? If you weren't teaching, what do you think you'd be doing?
I think if I weren't teaching, I'd be an accountant.
Okay.
I love numbers. I love math. So that's kind of the path I was taking initially when I started college. I was going to be a business major and take some accounting classes, and then I just my father-in-law convinced me otherwise. He's a longtime teacher and coach, and he just spoke about his love of it and what an influence I could have, and it seemed like. And at that point, I wanted to have a family, so teaching won out over accounting. So, but yeah, an accountant if I wasn't a teacher.
Well, what would you describe as your reason for why? Why do you teach?
Get back to I do love math, so
Yeah,
I just love my subject. I love the kids. I feel like I can be a good positive role model for them, and I want them to feel my enthusiasm for math and really just for learning in general. Just teach them to be lifelong learners, and that's kind of my why. Just try to get them excited about learning and excited about math.
No, I love that. That makes sense. Jeff, how about you? What's one moment that confirmed that you were in the right profession?
So the fact that I have gotten various teaching jobs that I had kind of no business getting. I got hired to teach middle school with no background experience whatsoever, and then I ended up getting the credential once I was hired. And then I got hired to teach high school chemistry and biology, and I had no business really teaching that. And then I applied in Colorado Springs, and they hired me to teach physics and earth science. And I go, I've never taught this. And they go, if you can teach, we're looking for a certain type of person. And then, so that string of events and the fact that I'm teaching AP macroeconomics and AP US history, after transitioning from science, I kind of constantly think there's no other reason I'd be here except for the Lord's providence, because I really kind of have no business being here. Now I've got the training. Now I have a couple graduate degrees in the field, but originally it was just kind of out of the blue. So it's kind of just wondrous that what in the world am I doing? And I'm still
God had
still
a plan
teaching.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Brent, how about you? Can you share a story of a student who reminded you of why you do what you do?
I remember my first year teaching, there was a student, I was teaching 8th grade language arts, grammar, and comp, and had a student that really struggled, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a really long year, because kind of like you, Jeff, I was like, I'm maybe 2 weeks ahead of the students in what I was teaching, and knew I loved teaching, but that was, it was difficult being a new teacher. And remember just working with him, and I was coaching at the time, and he was one of the football players, and he ended up, I had him in several different classes through high school, and he was everything well, he and I just hit it off. He was one of a student I mentored, and then he went off to college, came back and worked at the school as the coach. And then I was his assistant coach when he was the head coach. And then he worked in the Bible department with us. And then he went his own way a couple years and have taught. And we've kept in touch all during the past 24 years. And just this last year, he asked me to officiate his wedding, and to see that come full circle.
So
and we
cool.
still get together. They just had their first child, and to be a part of that, it's like, wow, to see that and to see him live out a godly life has been like, yeah, that's makes it all worth it.
Yeah,
Sure
that's
does.
amazing.
No. I think that's all of our hope, right? What we really hope for our students is whatever our impact is, it lasts with them. It's positive. They know we love them. Hopefully they see how much we love the Lord, and then translate that to their own personal love of the Lord. Debbie, what do you hope your students carry with you years after leaving your classroom?
I hope that they think I believed in them. I hope that I helped them be successful, that they can look back and say, my mind always goes to the kids that struggle.
Yeah.
So I think those, when I think about my legacy, or, what I hope they remember, is that they think back and like, yeah, she believed in me. She encouraged me.
Yeah.
And really helped me with a subject that might have been, really tough for me. Because for some kids, math, they don't even need a teacher. But my heart goes out to those kids that, like, it is not easy for them. So those are the kids I think about. Like, will they remember that I believed in them, that I tried to help them be successful?
I wish I had had you in math in high school, because I was one of those kids that, man, math did just not register.
Yeah,
so to have a
that's-
teacher like that, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, and you just try to find different ways to reach different kids,
Yeah. I think that is probably something that the majority of, that's who we want at Valor, right? That's how we're so blessed to work with the colleagues that we get to work alongside, because I think I see that in everybody. Everybody is here for the students first and foremost, and that shines through everything that our faculty do. So we're really, really fortunate for that. Okay. So Jeff, what do you feel like keeps you going during the more difficult seasons of teaching, or the frustrating aspects of teaching?
Yeah. I've had lots of frustrating aspects because I've taught so many different new classes. And so part of it is this network of friends. I have a group of 7 other guys, and we're as close as can be. And we've known each other for about 20 years, pray for each other, text every day. So that network, I have a mentor that just kind of listens and lets me, just asks me good questions and lets me vent and kind of keeps me honest in terms of what are my real reasons for why I'm stressed, and just asks me wise questions. And then my family, my relationship with my family, we've become really close in the last couple of years, and that gives you perspective because after all, it is just economics, right? It is just history, and there's more important things in life. And so to kind of keep perspective and realize I can go home and I don't need to grade like that assignment. I can spend time with my children. So family and friends and wise mentors kind of keeps me going and keeps me grounded.
Makes sense.
That's
yeah.
great. That makes sense. Brent, how about you? What kind of provides you, what fills your cup, I guess, when things get difficult?
This is going to be the typical teacher answer, but like the students do. I mean,
Yeah.
like when a student will come in and you can tell that they intentionally come in to say hi. Maybe I had them a year or two ago and they come in just to say hi, or they come in to ask a question. And I mean, it feels like an honor to me that they would come and ask me my opinion. And so that relationship there. Other part is like, just when that light bulb goes off and you see that they get something, and you see their facial response, and it just, their eyes are moving and they're like, oh, and then you're like, yes, they got
is
it.
a great
And that, I
feeling.
mean, there's nothing better than that when they get something. And there's other times when like I'll get a note or something, and I've got a little drawer that I keep notes in from past students.
Yeah.
So when I'm kind of feeling bad, and I'll just pull it out and remind, okay, this is why I'm doing it. And so that keeps me going. And then, gosh, I mean, I think we all would say we get to teach what we love, but like I get to talk about God's story all day long and get to help students hopefully understand that a little bit better. And that's fun to me. I mean, to be able to get in there and to tell the story, and maybe in a way that brings them in and draws them in, that gets me going. That keeps me going too.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I have that folder too.
I would
Do you have
agree.
a
Yeah,
folder?
folder?
Oh, the thank you notes.
Yeah.
Notes. Yeah. You saved every single
teacher
one
has
over
to
the
have
years.
something.
And it's just so edifying just to be able to remember, okay, this might be happening today, but this happened before, and to learn from even your past self.
Yes.
At one point, things were going really, really well, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
It will again.
And they will
It
again.
will again.
Yeah.
They
That's
will
right.
again. They
That's
will
right.
again. So I guess, Debbie, what is your favorite topic to teach on? Like, what excites you?
Oh gosh. You want me to get mathematical here?
Sure, go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, okay.
Parabolas.
Honestly, trigonometry. I love it.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, you've taught math,
Oh,
you
yes,
know.
yes.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. And yeah, I just think it's very cool. It has a lot of useful applications in the world, you know, that you can talk about with the kids, you know, vectors and
Yeah.
taking trips and, you know, building things. And so I love trigonometry. Yeah. So that you do that in pre-calculus and in algebra too. So
You get it
That's-
both. You get everything
Yes,
you teach.
I
You
know.
get to teach it right now. That's awesome.
I do. So I love it.
And then, Jeff, you've taught such a myriad of subjects and even you've been in so many different departments. Now, don't lie right now. Out of everything you've taught, what's the favorite thing that you've taught so far?
Students ask me that. Yeah, what's
Oh,
your
good, good.
what's your favorite, you know, topic in a push or something?
Yeah.
And my answer, and I think it's true, is whatever I'm teaching at the time. It sounds
great
super
answer.
corny, but I'm a utter nerd, and so I will literally like grab a couple books off my shelf when we're on some unit, and I'll go back to them and reread certain chapters, and it's just riveting to me. Like you think about a kid like in the zoo, like walking around and looking at, that's kind of what I am with ideas, is I love thinking about stuff and pondering. And so I'm like a kid in the candy store with topics like the Civil War and sectional crisis and GDP. Yeah, it's awful. That's the nerd part, right? And I'm convinced
All over the map
I'm convinced that the kids would find it interesting if they
How about
just
some
like,
trigonometry?
yeah. Oh, well, seriously. Yeah, I took some calculus classes just for
There
fun.
you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
Well, I was like, and I was like, is this real? Like, right? Like, this stuff is amazing. Like the human mind can come
Yes.
up with, like, that's unbelievable. Right?
It is. Yeah. I talk to the kids about that. Like, you know, it's amazing what God did to make
Right.
us these creatures of wonder, that we want to figure these things out, and that our world is so figure outable, you know?
Right.
No,
It's an amazing place.
Okay, so how do you feel? And I'll start with Brent, but I want you all to answer this. How do you feel your teaching at Valor connects to your deeper purpose of faith?
Well, in Bible, that's kind of easy.
That's why I'm going to start with you.
Give them time to think, right? Yeah, no, like I'm drawn to the bigger picture in God's story, and like I get to talk about that, and so I get paid to do that, and it's kind of like,
Fair.
wow,
Yeah,
that's a pretty phenomenal thing. So like I get paid to look into His story and draw that out even more, and obviously doing that draws out my faith even more, of being able to be in it and study. And I think one of the things I appreciate about Valor is like in the past I've felt like an inch deep and a mile long, and I haven't felt like, I mean, here I feel like Valor has said, okay, we want you to teach this well, and given us the tools and the resources to do that, and not a lot of extra things. I mean, we can get involved in a bunch of things, but those are kind of more optional than required, like in the past. And so like I felt like I can really go into my subject and know it and be able to teach it that much better. And obviously that then drives my faith, because I'm teaching it and I'm studying it for myself and for the class. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's kind of both serving, if you will.
Yeah,
Sure.
no, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Jeff, how about you?
That's a good question. Part of, I think part of my Christianity is rooted in a wonder about God's world. maybe not the numbers as much as the ideas and the historical events, and then kind of like the way society is organized. And I'm constantly amazed at the fact that this world is created the way it is, that it's knowable, that we can find out things about history, and that there's models for us in history, models both for good and for ill, that the Christian faith is a historical faith, and so that some of the methods of historical investigation that I'm trying to communicate to the students with, primary sources, that those are also what you can use as you're thinking about the primary source of Scripture or the Church Fathers or just the documents that they're tackling. And so there's kind of a wonder of discovery that on my best days leads me to like a wonder about God, and a kind of an adoration of like, what must God be like to have created a world where economics exists and society can be so complicated, and ultimately as complicated as our ideas get, we realize there's a creator that is beyond even what we have come up with. So that's definitely one element of it, is just the wonder of this created world, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. Mm-hmm. Same question?
Same question.
Okay. I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. I just feel like the entire culture here builds me up. Like I love our chapels. I just feel inspired here by the joyful environment that I work in, and my colleagues. They just inspire me to really want to share Christ with my students, and I try to do that. It's it's a little trickier in math, but you can talk about the amazing design of God and things like that, and how it really is mathematical in a lot of ways. But I just feel like the culture here feeds me. It feeds me to want to share things with my kids about Christ and how to build His kingdom.
No, I feel the same way. And math is phenomenal in that way, where you can kind of stand back, just as you were saying, Jeff, just in awe and wonder, looking at God's incredible design. It's undeniable. It really is. You go outside in nature, math ties that together so beautifully.
It does.
And it's just, you're never done exploring and trying to uncover what God has provided us to uncover, which is so exciting. So
Agreed.
I agree with all of your guys' ideas. I'm going to end with this. How about we each go around and just share what our prayer is for Valor? So, Debbie, you are welcome to start.
Okay. I think my prayer for Valor would be that it would continue to grow, that our influence would continue to spread, that we can reach more and more kids that really need the message from Christ. So I would just pray for just growth, that we can get bigger and have a bigger influence in the community.
That's great.
Yeah, my prayer is, like, for my students, is that they would love their enemies, that they would be generous people, and that they would be focused on the poor and be aware of all the blessings and the tailwinds that they've been granted. And so that they would come out of Valor. They're trying to make a lot of money, and I hope they give a ton of money away. I tell them that all the time. I hope you guys make a ton of money. I hope you give a ton of money away. And I try to emphasize like the uniqueness of Jesus' teaching of like love your enemies, right? Like pray for the people that persecute you. So that's usually what I'm thinking about with my students and my prayer for them.
Yeah.
I'd say overall that we as a school and students would really know God, love Him, and then live Him out would be mine.
No, I agree with all of those things. Well, I want to thank Debbie, Jeff, and Brent, and all of our listeners and viewers. Thank you for joining us on our first roundtable of The Cross in the Classroom, Why We Teach.
Thank you for joining us on The Cross in the Classroom, Educating with Eternal Values. We hope today's conversation inspired and encouraged you. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and stay connected with the Valor Christian High School community. Keep living out faith, learning with purpose, and growing in grace. Until next time.